Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NXT The Game Season 2, Episode 95 of NXT TV. We're being held in Hawaii at the Stan Sheriff Center. For some reason, I'm not sure how many fans are in attendance. It appears it is not showing it tonight. Tom Phillips, Nigel McGuinness, and Steve Carino welcome us to NXT. Tom Phillips says that tonight on NXT, we're going to have one hell of a show. The camera fades, stands with them for a moment, and we go to ringside. So our standard announcing angle, just to get the fans aware of who is calling the action. 68C+. Alright, in the opening match, and about that at good and decent wrestling, Hideo Itami defeated Aleister Black in 16:41 via countout. We're going to go ahead and pretend that was a double countout, though, because that was, that was the intended book of the match. I don't know why it says countout. It should have been double countout. Because basically what's happening next, it's going to be silly if it was just a count out. So we're going to say that was a double count out. I ran it twice now. I don't know why I keep saying that. So it's a double count out. 60C. Going to bypass Hidami. As the bell sounds, signifying another count out between Aleister Black and Hideo Itami. Both men have their hands on their hips, exhausted after having such a thrillingly intense match that they missed the count out again. William Regal's music now hits and he shows up on the ramp with a microphone in hand. Regal goes on to say that while the two of them have put on a hell of a show the last 2 weeks, given that they were unable to come to a conclusive finish, he must look in other directions. The fans boo. Regal goes to speak again, however, Roderick Strong shows up on the ramp with a microphone and apologizes to Regal for cutting him off. Regal nods, no problem. Roderick Strong, talking to Regal, says that Regal is right. NXT TakeOver 100 is a celebration of everything that's happened so far here in NXT. And with that being said, if it's okay with you, Regal, says Roddy. Roddy says he'd like to put his NXT Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line against not only Aleister Black, but also Hideo Itami at NXT TakeOver 100. All parties agree, and the match is set. Strong is getting better. This has got the crowd hotter. William Regal looked good, 77B, and that's great. So we're going to have Hideo Itami versus Roddy Strong versus Aleister Black at NXT TakeOver 100 for the NXT Junior Heavyweight Championship, 77B. Alright. Next up, and about that at decent wrestling but little heat, Lars Sullivan defeats the local jobber Marty Gold in 3 minutes with a spear. 61 for Gold, 37 for Sullivan. Announcing quality gave the match a boost. There were no skill improvements, and Lars Sullivan with another victory here in NXT as he continues his path of dominance so far. Another squash match, 45D. Alright, next up, the fans cheer as DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa walk up with Sami Zayn together, House NXT, and walk in on Bayley, Carmella, and Sasha. Johnny asks Bayley if she'd be interested in tagging with him next week in the 3-on-3-on-3 main event match against the Ellering Dynasty, Authors of Pain, and the NXT Women's Intercontinental Champion Ruby Riott, and their rival Dash and Dawson, and their partner of their choosing. Bayley smiles and gives Johnny a hug and backs away, giving Tommaso a hug, then hugs Sami as well. Bayley agrees to be their partner next week, saying it'll be a great way to prepare for her rematch against Asuka at 100. House NXT seems thrilled and thanks Bayley as they leave. The camera focuses one more time on Sasha, who's still pretty upset Carmella has usurped her. Sasha, which Bayley turns to, talks to Carmella and slips out behind House NXT's back and begins to walk down the hall as the camera leaves her. So DIY was great here. Carmella and Sasha were good here. They underperformed. No skill improvements, but again, Sasha a little jealous at the relationship between Bayley and Carmella. Is Hug Life no more? Are we back to the days of Baymella? I don't know. 88B+ though out in this segment. Next up, in a decent match, the iconic duo Peyton Royce and Billie Kay defeat Abby Layth and Dakota Kai in 7:34 when Peyton Royce defeats Dakota Kai by pinfall with a Simply Iconic. 46, 52, 59, and 58 for the women respectively. Color commentary gave it a boost. Layth needs a new gimmick. Dakota Kai is not suited to her gimmick, which is unfortunate. Layth is improving in performance though. 60C for these four women. Next up, a backstage camera finds Sasha Banks who had walked down the hall, and she's shaking hands now with the Revival, Dash, and Dawson. The camera watches her for a second as she walks away, and we fade out. So what could Sasha have been doing with the Revival? I don't know. We'll find out later in the show. 73B-. Next up, the Street Profits, coming soon. Both of which underperformed. That's okay. Dawkins, let's see what we have. 3 segments. We're going to keep doing it. because we want to try to build it up before he debuts. 63C, Dawkins, and Montez Ford. Hype train continues for these two decent workers. 63C. Next up, and about that, I had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Mr. NXT defeats Oni Lorcan in 8:57 with his pinfall with a high-speed roundhouse kick. 77 for Mr. NXT, 54 for Oni Lorcan. No skill improvements, but Mr. NXT gets the victory tonight here over Oni Lorcan. After the match, having defeated Oni Lorcan, Mr. NXT stands up in the middle of the ring and is given his NXT Heavyweight Championship by the Mrs. NXT. Mr. NXT can be heard screaming into a microphone. Mrs. NXT has got it for him to bring out Bobby Roode. He wants Bobby Roode now. The fans boo as Bobby Roode doesn't come out. Mr. NXT laughing, aware he isn't in the house. Mr. NXT says figured the coward wouldn't come out tonight and drops the mic. So Mrs. NXT looked good. We've advanced the championship storyline. Remember, it's going to be Mr. NXT versus Bobby Roode at NXT TakeOver 100. 83B plus, though, here in this segment. Bobby Roode, though, per this next segment, after having been called out, will be here next week on NXT. So that's Bobby Roode next week on NXT. 74B minus. Next up, and a decent match, Sanity advances, defeating Heavy Machinery in 13-10 when Killian Day defeats Otis Dazovic by pinfall with a double tree. Fourth time it needed to be better, that's alright. 60, 58, 58, 62. We've advanced to the United States Tag Team Tournament storyline. 49C. After having defeated Heavy Machinery, Sanity has advanced alongside TM61 to NXT TakeOver 100 into the United States Tag Team Championship match. Tucker Knight was good here. So I'm not sure if we're going to do just a 2-on-2 match, but if we do, it'll be Sanity versus TM61. We may throw one more or two more teams in there. Not quite sure yet. Still have quite a few teams that would like the opportunity, and we'll look towards that shortly. Or we could just go TM61 and Sanity. 70C+. Next up, the camera finds Sasha as she walks back into the locker room as Bayley seems upset talking to Carmella. Bayley turns around towards Sasha and immediately asks Sasha what she's doing. Bayley says she was just told that she went and offered her services to Dash and Dawson next week, and it'll be her and DIY versus the Ellering Dynasty of Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, and Ruby Riott, the NXT Women's Intercontinental Champion, taking on the Revival and Sasha Banks. Sasha smirks, but seems upset really, and tells Bayley that she's not the only one who likes to wrestle, and while she's not the NXT Women's World Championship match she wanted to be in, she wants to be champion, and she hasn't forgot about the title. So Sasha turns around and leaves the locker room area, leaving Bayley and Carmella confused at where all this is coming from. Sasha Banks, the boss, is extremely jealous right now. Carmella and Bayley came across good. Sasha, not great, but very jealous here. 66C+. And we're reminded, and by a video hyping the massive main event next week, it's going to be DIY, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa teaming with Bayley, taking on the Revival and Sasha Banks. That's Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson with Sasha Banks. And also, that's going to be the Ellering Dynasty of the Authors of Pain. And we had to obviously leave some of the women out because we had to get over, we'd only fit Bayley. We couldn't fit the other two women in, but that's okay. The Ellering Dynasty of Akam, Razor, and Ruby Riott, the NXT Women's Intercontinental Champion, and the United States the NXT Heavyweight Tag Team Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor. 94A. Very, very good segment here. We've advanced and gained heat. This match is going to be off the hook next week, I think. 94A. But in the main event, and about that, I had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Drew McIntyre with Eric Young following a double disqualification. So yeah, here we go here. Drew McIntyre and Eric Young, after the heat that they put on one another last week, fight to a double DQ. The two brawl all over the arena and really ends with a pull-apart brawl to end the show. We're obviously building towards Drew versus Eric Young and some type of stipulation at NXT TakeOver 100, and this match was just to get this set up. Eric Young has continued to improve in performance, which is great. 73 B minus here. Hopefully it's 72 or 73. 79, wow, what a great show. All right, this show increased our popularity in 45 regions. The final attendance is awaiting confirmation. I'm not really sure why it says that. I've never seen this before. Let me take a snapshot. I'll go ahead and share this on one of the groups and see if anyone's seen it before. But either way, this was NXT The Game Season 2, Episode 95, NXT TV. We are continuing down the path towards NXT TakeOver 100. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a glorious rest of your day.